Hello again, everyone. Dave Benson here, Senior Advisor for Threat Mitigation and Global Operations at the Center for Personal Protection and Safety, CPPS. I'd like to take a few minutes to discuss a topic that I hope either already is or will be an extension of your active assailant protocols, which of course is required by both ANSI standards of 2011 and 2020, as well as the original OSHA directive, which was also updated, I believe, in 2020 as well. And so, as you know, we are required in a comprehensive workplace violence prevention program to really cover what we call at the center the 3 R's: readiness, which is training, policies, procedures, protocols; response, because we know that sadly, bad things can happen to good people and good organizations when you least expect it, despite the fact that you may have an extremely robust violence prevention program; and then recovery, because we also know that when these acts of extreme violence tend to occur, regardless in what sector that we see this, it has a devastating impact on the organization, on the workers, and in fact, on the entire community. But I want to introduce a concept to you that you may not have thought of before. It's something that we at the center and me personally have incorporated with our clients as they put together their policies and procedures, and it's called a slow walk. So let's get started. So what is a slow walk? A slow walk means that you've already put together an enterprise-wide active assailant program, which a response plan, which can include a shooter. It can also include bladed instruments. It can include explosives. It can include a vehicle. We now know nowadays, unfortunately, the sky is the limit, and many of these individuals get quite creative as they plan and execute acts of intentional and targeted violence. So you have your enterprise-wide plan. The American International Standard of 2020 through ASIS highlighted in a much bigger way the local, if you will, view on this, that it's not enough to have an enterprise-wide plan. There's your policy and procedures, an enterprise-wide training, which, as you know, we at the center talk about the outs: figure out, get out, hide out, spread out, and help out, and then also, take out if you have to neutralize the threat, but also very consistent with prevailing wisdom of run, hide, fight. But one of the things we've always taught that we think is really critical is that once they've received this training, once they're aware of the enterprise-wide program, if you will, that they need to go back to their locations, both individually, go back to your cubicle, go back to your floor, go back to your campus, and look for some of these potential hazards, vulnerabilities, to see what options you may have should you find yourself in the possibility of running into an active assailant situation. On an individual standpoint, we want folks to do that. Understand, it's an options-based concept. It's not a linear concept, and we've talked about that before. It's not just run, it's not just hide, and then it's not just fight. You may have to do a myriad of options to get yourself through and survive a potentially cataclysmic event like this. But what a slow walk means is we want leadership, management, area supervisors to actually walk their entire campus, to walk their entire facility, to look for potential vulnerabilities, not just because you may want to enhance them or correct them or mitigate them, which is extremely important, but oftentimes those require resources. And resources is not something that's finite. I don't care what the organization is. So identifying the vulnerabilities and also looking at it that these might be the cards that you're dealt if you have an active assailant opportunity. For example, what am I talking about? Check all your exit doors. Are they accessible? Are there alarms tied to them? Is there a time delay? What about if you go through the door and you find yourself in front of a 20-foot fence that you either have to scale or you're stuck? Access, egress, from an options-based concept, so you kind of know where you are in that situation, so you don't have to waste valuable time figuring out that, hey, I don't have an exit near me, or hey, I actually only have one way in and one way out, or hey, I've actually got multiple options to be able to do that. To kind of recap, you must have, from a compliance perspective, and certainly from a CPPS workplace certification perspective, you must have an assessment done that determines your vulnerabilities and then what you're going to do about them. But an important part of that is the response capability. What happens if you have a potential active assailant or an act of extreme violence? And that should be part of your all hazards approach to responding to these types of crises. Then the next step is encourage your team as they go through the enterprise-wide training, which is a requirement, to go back and look at their individual office spaces, look at what their buildings are like, how they come in every day, how they might leave, all these security redundancies that may keep people out, but might also impede people from leaving. And then the final piece is that building slow walk, where you literally walk the entire compound, the entire campus, looking for vulnerabilities, yes, to garner resources to mitigate, but most importantly, that everyone is aware that this is a vulnerability and you're not going to be able to get out or utilize that as an option. So I've hoped I have encouraged you, in addition to enterprise-wide active assailant protocols, break it down to the local levels, which would be individual response, which is always important, which may be the most important one at the end of the day, but also incorporate that slow walk, as I like to call it, of your facilities or your campus. So that's it for today. I hope you found that useful. If you have any more questions, comments, or concerns, as always, reach out to info@cpps.com. Dave Benson signing off till next time.